Jeffrey,
Dan Hawkins on the side,
Chucky Jeffrey
longer,
and the the water polo team.
Yeah, that's right. It's a swimming pool. And you know what? We have CU Sports Mag coming up next. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of CU Sports Mag. I'm Heather Morva, sitting alongside Natalie Deedon.
And Andrew Tomasini here. You know, it's been a big week for the Buffs as far as sports goes, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest story of the week has been the dismissal of Dan Hawkins.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and obviously there's been some sort of speculation on why Hawkins was fired, why this time, and well, clearly I think the number one thing we have to go back to was the loss this weekend to Kansas. Now we can kind of ramble on and on about why he was fired over the past 5 seasons, but I don't think there's any doubt about it that, you know, it really kind of came down to this weekend. This weekend was a boiling point for Colorado, and unfortunately for Dan Hawkins, he lost his job because of the game at Kansas. Final score was 52-45. Gave up 24 points in the fourth quarter over an 11-minute span. Absolutely ridiculous. Shouldn't even happen in high school football, but at the end of the day, it just happened that Dan Hawkins is going to lose his job, and you kind of go back to it, and Mike Bohn, the athletic director, brought Dan Hawkins in coming in off of the Gary Barnett situation back in 2005. He was hired on December 16th, 2005, and he said he was kind of a home run hire. Well, now you kind of look back at it and you almost say, well, was it an 0 for 5 day with 5 strikeouts, all of which were looking? And Hawkins really didn't have the success. He had a 2007 recruiting class that was the top 15, and that never came to fruition. He brought Darryl Scott in from California, really didn't produce for Colorado. Lynn Katoa had off-field issues. John Major in that first season in 2007, he had an ACL injury that set him back a year, and there were just so many things on Dan Hawkins' plate that eventually he just couldn't get over that hump. We wanted to see him do it. Everyone was behind him, but slowly, with each and every losing season, he just couldn't get it done. Over 5 years, he had a 19-39 record, which really isn't all that great, but there's just so many things, you know, over this past 2 seasons. In each and every one of Colorado's loss, the point differential was 15.26 points per game, and that's a lot. It's over 2 touchdowns, and it's a lot to make up from. So I think Colorado, as they look down the road, try to figure out what they're going to do here. I think it's going to be a difficult position, but you just can't state enough how difficult it was for Dan Hawkins to keep his job. His first game he came into Colorado, into Folsom Field for the Buffs, was the loss to 1AA Montana State, 19-10. 1AA Montana State. It shouldn't happen. And then you go back to last season, a nationally televised game versus Toledo. They lost that one to a MAC conference team. Obviously, couldn't get the job done. And unfortunately for Dan Hawkins, it just wasn't good enough for the Buff community, for the alumni, donors, and everyone here in Boulder. And unfortunately for Dan, it was a very tough week. Monday, he heard about kind of the rumors that were happening. Tuesday was the press conference. And wouldn't you know, Wednesday, November 10th, it's his 50th birthday.
Oh, that's a heartbreak of a week for Dan Hawkins.
Indeed it is. Now, do you have any idea of like what kind of coach would be coming in?
Yeah, there's been so many speculation about what they're going to do, whether they're going to bring Coach Mack back or whether they're going to do an Eric Bieniemy thing. Or essentially, at this point right now, I really don't think they know, but they're going to have to do it quick because the recruiting process is coming up and moving into the Pac-12. They're going to have a lot to handle, so it's going to be difficult.
I agree with you there. But, you know, we're going to toss it over to the press conference and see, you know, what's going on from Dan Hawkins himself.
Negativity around the program, and I respect Mike and his decision. And the Buff Nation is too proud and too quality to have that any one issue bog it down, and certainly the players don't deserve that. I think these guys are poised to go out and play well and compete and get after it the next 3 games, maybe 4. I hope the Buff Nation will show the kids and show the nation and future recruits and the future coach how much passion there is here and how much they are behind the program.
Really, ending negativity was what it was all about. The divisiveness, and the disenfranchisement of our fan base. The best call that I got this morning was from the ticket office, who called me and said, "Hey, Mike, I just want you to know we had 800 tickets sold between 8 p.m. last night and this morning." I'm honored and thrilled that Brian will serve as our interim coach. He's a Buff. He's played here. He's coached over 300 games as a Buffalo.
For the first time in my my 22 years, I saw the offense practice on the offensive fields. So there's always a first for everything. And I was impressed also with our coaches and how they got them going. So I consider that a good start.
Many CU football fans think Dan Hawkins has the worst coaching record in the past 50 years at CU, which brings us to our trivia question this week. Who has a worse overall record as CU head coach, Dan Hawkins or Chuck Fairbanks? The answer will be coming up later in the show.
Speaking of the man of the hour, Sports Mag's Evan Lauder hit campus to gauge student reaction on Hawkins' firing and who his replacement will be in this week's Man on the Street.
Thanks, guys. As many of you know, CU's head football coach Dan Hawkins was fired earlier this week after leading the Buffs to a not-so-impressive 3-6 start this season. So I'm here at the UMC to gain the students' perspective on this latest decision.
I think it should have happened a long time ago. I think that a lot of people agree that he's been doing a pretty poor job for quite a few years now.
Well, I think it's a really good move. It's unfortunate. I think Dan Hawkins came in with a really great resume, but he certainly couldn't pull it off here.
I think it was a good decision because we weren't winning, and it seems like he kind of plays favorites.
I see extraordinary opportunities.
It really depends on the head coach, but I don't know. Pac-10 is really tough.
I think that give it a few years, I think we should be much better off than we are now.
Well, it depends, I guess, on who they get.
That would be one of those things.
For CU, I have no idea. I don't know.
No. Do you?
No.
I think, along with everyone, Bill McCartney, I think he's probably the biggest prospect at this point.
I am really glad to see the teamwork that's coming into.
Athletic Director Mike Bone has not made a decision for future head coach prospects, and I think it's safe to say that everybody is excited for a switch to the Pac-10 next year. For CU Sports Mag, this is Evan Lauder. Take it back to you guys.
Brian Cabral has made a career out of calming the storm at Colorado. This time, Cabral's performance in guiding the struggling squad may just be viewed as a job audition. Cabral will take over for Dan Hawkins on the sidelines in an attempt to stabilize the program. Cabral played linebacker for the Buffs during the 70s and began coaching at his alma mater as a graduate assistant in 1989. In 2004, Cabral was given the same interim position with the Buffs following Coach Gary Barnett's suspension. Cabral will lead the Buffs as head coach this Saturday at Folsom Field versus Iowa State.
And coming up after the break, we'll have a double dose of David on the double team set.
And we caught up with new head basketball coach Tad Boyle to talk about the upcoming season, so stay tuned.
And my IFB doesn't like to stay in.
And this included so many different things this past weekend. Things like Chip and the cheerleaders, and both basketball teams were honored as a part of the festival. It was just really fabulous to see everyone out there and give their support for the team. In addition to that, there were also giveaways and different activities for kids, which is always nice to incorporate the community. So, in addition to all of that, it was just a really great turnout to show support for the Buffs, especially going into their season, which starts up this Friday. So take it away. Okay, back to me. So
women's basketball team had their exhibition game Friday against Western State, and they're looking good for their first game of the season. Sophomore Chucky Jeffrey led with the highs of 23 points and 10 assists. Another star on the court, Brittany Spears, who had 17 points and 11 rebounds. Colorado defeated Western State 93-62, putting them in the right mood to start off the season.
CU sophomore point guard recorded a double-double against the Mountaineers and snagged 4 steals while shooting 66% from the field. And thanks to her big game against Western State, Chucky Jeffrey is our athlete of the week.
I just came out and played the game. I was excited because it was the first game, so I did what I could, and our team played well. I think we came out with a lot of energy and intensity. We played well together. we talk. I mean, we still got a few things to work on, but for a first game, the exhibition, we did pretty well. Our defensive help and sync and talking, most of defensive transition most of all, but most defensive stuff, the offense will come. It's kind of like my freshman year all over again, you know. You just got to prove yourself to the coach. Probably the last year in the Big 12, the competition. I can't wait till we get to our conference games. I'm Chucky Jeffrey, CU Sports Mag Athlete of the Week.
Corey Higgins and Alec Burks are not the only two basketball players on a preseason award watch list. Women's basketball star Britney Spears has been added to the Naismith preseason. And you know what? Jumping gears over to the men's basketball team. We got a really, some big news coming in. Last year, Maui. This year, Las Vegas, and next year, Puerto Rico for the men's basketball team. Quite a tough life. The Buffs will be playing one of 8 teams. They'll be playing in Puerto Rico and the 3-day Honda tip-off in the Caribbean next November. Alabama, Maryland, Temple, and Purdue will be among the teams that will be competing on November 17th, 18th, and 20th of next year. CU played in Puerto Rico in the 1998-1999 season when they beat American Puerto Rico, but lost to Xavier and Kentucky.
All right, now it's time to shoot it over to the double team set where we're getting a double dip of Davids this year.
That's right, so take it away, guys.
Welcome to this week's double team. You got a double dose of David here on the set, David LaRose, and I'm David Starr. So, man, I am sick of football season. I'm sick of the Hawkins talk. Let's get past that. Let's get to basketball
season. Let's go.
Starts tonight at the Coors Event Center, 8 o'clock. At least the men get going underway there. Taking on Idaho State, a team from the Big Sky Conference, and probably your everyday basketball fan doesn't know a lot about this team.
Right, Idaho State, like you said, comes from the Big Sky Conference. Last year they were 7-22 overall, 1-15 on the road, kind of like our numbers, but in a lower division. But they return only one starter, and they have a bunch of newcomers. Give us a little bit of info about their players.
The one guy they got coming back here, Gilchrist, is their shooting guard, averaged 15.5 points a game last season.
Yeah.
Didn't really bring a lot else to the table. So I think you're going to see a little bit of chemistry issues out there on the floor with these new guys, even with the 6-year head coach in O'Brien. Like I said, I think they're going to take a while to mesh, so hopefully CU can take advantage of that and get a win on this week. As for us, I know it's early, only a few weeks into the season, and we didn't play an exhibition game or anything, but what we've seen in practice so far, not a game, but practice, these guys have looked good. They look like they got some chemistry going.
That's right. We're returning Higgins and Burks. Here you see Burks shooting around in practice, but they're actually the top 2 tandem returning in D1 basketball. Wow. They're averaging 36 points per game between the 2 of them. So we're going to look to have those guys get going again.
Like I said, I think they're going to be the lead guys again. There's Nate Tomlinson. He's going to be your runner of the offense there. He's going to be starting tonight. Ben Mills, a newbie down there on the block. He's going to have to fill in for Shane Harris-Tunks. But despite what everyone's saying about Burks and Higgins, maybe teams keying on them, I think they're poised for an even bigger season this year just because of the new offense that head coach Tad Boyle is going to implement. You see him here talking to the guys. I think that's going to suit them a lot better than Bezdelk's Princeton-style offense. They're going to have the ball in their hands more, going to be able to penetrate and kick out shooters, guys like Marcus Relford and Levi Knudsen, who can knock down the open jump shot.
Right, not in just a half-court set, but on the road. Just get out and run. We got a lot of athletic guys, and that suits our team very well. You could kind of see it last year within the Bezdelk offense that they wanted to get out and run, but they knew they had to come back to their Princeton offense, but this year they're going to have a little more freedom to get out and run.
I definitely agree with you. And with the guys that we have, guys like Burks, Higgins, and then Shannon Sharp, who's coming back from an injury, these guys are ball hawks. They're going to be going after their passing lanes. Higgins has led the Big 12 in steals the past 2 seasons, and those steals lead to, like you said, easy buckets in transition. If you get an easy 20 points a game, that makes up for maybe any kind of deficiencies or slowdowns you have in running the new half-court offense.
That's right. After this Idaho State game, we got Georgia next Wednesday, and then we have a bunch of no-name non-conference schedule. What do you think we can do with that?
Georgia game I think is on Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
And it's on the road, so that is the one game that really maybe the only non-conference game before we go to Las Vegas for the Invitational that presents any kind of trouble to me. Oregon State, who we lost a tough one to last year, they're coming to our building this year. Same with CSU. So I think we're going to do a lot better non-conference schedule this year. And like I said, not a lot of names jump out there. Harvard there. And then San Francisco, I think, is one other game. But as long as we can get past that Georgia obstacle, like you said, 11, 12 wins. I think these guys are capable of a non-conference play.
Yeah, that's right. 12 to 13 wins going into Big 12. That'll definitely give them a lot of confidence going into the Big 12 in their last season in the Big 12.
Yeah, true.
So we'll see how they can go up against the big-time guys.
Wrapping up here, we talked about Burks, talked about Higgins. Do we have any of the newbies out there, guys who, like I said, it's gonna be our first time seeing them tonight, but you think are poised to break out or at least make a name for themselves?
Like you said, Shannon Sharp was out all last year with a knee injury. Gone to a couple practices. He's looked really good. He's very athletic. He can get out and run. He can jump. He can shoot. He can get in passing lanes. So we're looking good with Shannon Sharp.
Oh, fingers crossed, Buffs can get a win tonight. Women play at 5:30. Men play at 8. Go out and support them at the Coors Event Center. For Dave, I'm David Starzer. We'll send it back to the desk.
Thanks, guys. Speaking of the men's basketball team, our own Andy McDonald sat down with the new man in charge on the hardwood, men's basketball coach Tad Boyle.
Those are the sounds of the men's basketball team a few days before their first game. And the new man in charge for the Buffs is Tad Boyle. Boyle is Colorado bred, so he knows what Buff basketball is all about.
I just know I have a passion for this university. I have a passion for this state because I'm a Colorado guy. I grew up here, played high school basketball, won a state championship in the Coors Event Center back in 1981. I don't think anybody cares about Colorado basketball more than I do.
He decided to play his college basketball at Kansas.
It's funny, when I was a player here, I got booed every time I touched the ball because I was a Colorado guy who left.
And although he will no longer be booed in Boulder, he knows success isn't a given.
We have to understand that respect isn't given to you unless you go earn it.
A lot of hype here on running the three-guard offense. Can you talk a little bit about the offense and what it entails?
Well, we want to play fast. When we want to play a brand, we got some great athletes on this team, some really exciting basketball players who are gifted on the offensive end. And so we want to run, we want to attack the basket, we want to try to get easy baskets in transition. And then defensively, we'd like to extend as much as we can and create some offense with our defense. But we're going to play pressure man-to-man. We're going to get after people. We're going to try to dictate the tempo of the game.
Having great players like Alec Burks and Corey Higgins will also help.
He's not a secret anymore, and people are going to be keying into him and Corey. That's why it's not just about those two guys, it's about our whole team. We got a good rotation of guys. I look at Levi Knutson, I look at Marcus Relford as guys in our senior class that are very capable players. And then I see Nate Tomlinson as a guy and Shannon Sharp, who are going to be playing in the backcourt a lot for us this year as guys who can really run this team.
Coach Boyle expects big things this year, but also knows that building a program takes time, and he's fully committed to improvement.
We're not trying to build for a team this year or next year or the following year. We want sustained success, and there's a difference in trying to build a team and build a program.
Commercial break, we'll see if the volleyball team can break its 6-game losing streak.
And SportsMag's own Rose Heafy took a dive into the water world of water polo. Coming up next on SportsMag. The Big 12 this week as they faced off against the Kansas Jayhawks and Oklahoma Sooners. Starting off in Lawrence, Kansas on Saturday, while both teams matched up well against each other, the Jayhawks pulled through, defeating the Buffs in 3 games. Despite the tough loss, the Spikers jumped back on the bus on Wednesday and headed to Norman, Oklahoma to face the 4th-ranked Sooners. Offensively, Richie Bigelow led the Buffs with 8 kills, while Megan Beckworth tore up the court with 10 defensive digs. But Oklahoma fought back and took the win in 3 games, pushing the Buffs even further back in the Big 12 standings. CU Volleyball is already taking positive steps towards the 2011 season by signing 2 new recruits. Coach Liz Kritza has recently gotten Kelsey English and Nira Ortiz with national letters of intent to play for the Buffs next season. English is a 6'2" middle blocker from Colorado Springs, and she has a jump of 10 feet 6 inches, which led her on a state championship in high jump. Ortiz is a 6'5" outside hitter from Puerto Rico. Her size, along with her ability to block and hit in the front row, has made Kritza really excited about the addition of this young player. The Buffs' next game is Saturday at the Coors Event Center against rival Nebraska.
2 former CU cross-country runners, Dathan Ritzenhein and Jorge Torres, competed in the pro field at the New York City Marathon this weekend, placing 8th and 11th respectively. Ritzenhein and Torres made up only 2 of 18 pro spots in the race. Ritzenhein, a 2006 CU grad, was the first American finisher in the men's marathon at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And as a CU athlete, he earned 4 Big 12 conference titles, 4 All-American titles, and a 2003 NCAA championship. Jorge Torres, a 2003 grad, won the NCAA cross-country championship in 2002 and was an 8-time All-American runner as a Buff. Both runners started their careers at CU but have since made their mark on the professional scene.
When you think of water sports, Boulder, Colorado may not be the first place that comes to mind, but CU men's water polo team is prepping for a run to the Nationals to compete against the nation's best. SportsMag's Rose Heafy has more.
Not many people would associate a landlocked state to have a strong water polo team. CU, however, is an exception.
You know, I don't think a lot of people understand it. They think it's like inner tube water polo or something where you're just sort of floating around, but, you know, people get hit a lot, and yeah, it's fun though.
The CU men's club water polo team has made a splash this season after going undefeated in conference play and securing berth for nationals this weekend in Utah.
We haven't gone undefeated in our conference ever, as far as I know, and it felt real good. We were on top of the world after that.
Some of the veteran players attribute the team's success to the first-year coach's more aggressive style of play.
Yeah, definitely more aggression, a lot more tricky, a lot more suit grabbing, a lot more twisting the guys in there, and a lot funner play.
Players also believe the camaraderie creates a good team atmosphere.
Well, our main goal is to have fun, you know, so that's why we're all here, because we love the sport of water polo, and, you know, it just helps that we're good at it, too.
To place high in nationals, Horowitz said the team will need to improve on its swimming to compete against East and West Coast teams.
It's a kind of a hindrance to us. We have a small pool, so our setup offense is awesome, but our swimming's a little iffy. So.
Despite the challenges, the team is still optimistic for finishing high in nationals this weekend.
Go all the way. We're gonna win. You know, why not? May as well make a name for ourselves. I mean, even if we can't do that, you know, it's good to have those goals. Going in, we're undefeated. Why not go the whole season undefeated?
By maintaining their intensity, the Buffs hope to end their season on a high point. Rose Heafy, CU Sports Mag.
I think that's one of the most enthusiastic teams we have at CU.
I agree, and what more fun than to be in a swimming pool?
I know. Well, after the break, we'll give you the answer to this week's trivia question.
And Andy McDonald gives us this weekend's weather. Stay tuned.
This week's trivia question, and just to give you guys a refresher at home, we asked who has a worse overall record as CU head coach, Dan Hawkins or Chuck Fairbanks? And the answer is Chuck Fairbanks. He went 7-26 in his 3 years at CU for a .21 winning percentage compared to Hawkins, who went 19-39 in his 5 years at Boulder.
You know, Heather, it's been a really crazy week here with rain and sunshine and snow. I mean, what's up next?
I don't know. Let's toss it to our resident weather guy, Andy Dr. Pierre McDonald.
Sitting here on the weather desk, and I'm Andy McDonald. Let's take a look at that national weather. We have a high coming in from the northwest that's bringing that cold, dry air. The system that brought us in that little bit of snow is moving out to the east, but for this weekend, it's going to be cold and dry. As you can see here in Boulder, it is cold and dry. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's barely sneaking into the 40s. Saturday, there's a 30% chance for snow, and every single day it's going to be in the low 20s overnight. As the Buffs take on the Iowa State Cyclones on Saturday at 11:30. High is going to be 37, low is going to be 24. In the morning, it's going to be pretty brisk, so you're going to want to grab a jacket for that one for kickoff. The Rapids are playing the Eastern Conference Championship game against the San Jose Earthquakes at 7:30. High is 36 and low is 23. It's going to be at night, so it's going to be closer to the 23-degree weather, and you might want to grab maybe a scarf perhaps. Also, for the Broncos, they play their division rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, on Sunday. Kickoff is at 2:05. High is going to be at 38, but once those shadows start creeping in over Invesco, it's going to get mighty chilly. But if you're not sticking around this weekend and you head up to the mountains, there are a few resorts open. A-Basin, Copper, Keystone, and Loveland are all open, and they all have substantial bases. Although very few lifts are open, it'll be still nice to catch a little powder before December. That's all I really have, guys, so take it back to the desk.
Thanks, Andy.
You know, as the semester starts coming down to an end, it gets closer and closer to graduations, and we have one of our own, Heather, going to be graduating here. Now, we've put together a little special something for her, and we'd like to share that with you now.
Heather more, but Heather, wasn't there a big women's basketball game on Thursday?
That's right, Phil. There was a big game last night. So this just in to me, apparently we lost that game against Missouri, but I hear it was pretty close. So That's good.
I would like to tell you that I am so impressed with the way you were able to collaborate SportsMag with your passion for advertising, and I cannot wait to see where you go in this business.
You always have a smile on your face, and you're always willing to help out, and I've always appreciated that.
I got this text message. He moved it on to Hawkins. Hawkins, instead of calling Scott into his office, sent him a text.
Thanks for showing me the ropes, and we're really going to miss you.
And your presence is definitely going to be missed.
I can't believe we're graduating in a couple weeks. It's come up crazy fast, and I personally can't believe it. But I know that no matter where you decide to, hello? Hey, what's up, man? No, I'm not doing anything important. What's going on?
That's why we have the answer to our trivia question,
Which I know you're all freaking out about. And we also have the weather report with Kylie. So don't go away.
You've been a great friend and a great person to work with all the way through SportsMag. I wish you the best after college.
Oh, hey Heather, what's going on? It's Dave here. Just want to say it's been a great past couple of years being with you and everything. Starting up comm team and everything. I know you've done a lot of great stuff with that. You pretty much quadrupled the SportsMag viewership with that.
It's going to be awesome.
We'll totally be answering that later in the show for you.
All right.
You showed me how to write my first reader, and that really, opened the door for me to soar to new heights. So I really appreciate it, and good luck with everything.
I have learned so much from you and have really loved working with you this semester. I have really big shoes to fill with comm team.
I'm dying for some fresh powder. I can't even tell you. I need to go skiing.
You gotta head up there this
soon.
weekend. It's gonna be so great.
And more people are watching, and that's all due to you and the comm team. And I really appreciate everything else you do other than comm team.
CU volleyball player Emily Cisco set a career high with 27 kills against Texas Tech for the Buffs' first Big 12 win of the season.
Yeah, hold. Are we cool? We're done, right? Yeah. All right.
No, it's been real. I'm gonna have to start YouTube videos now. Do I look like a guy who can start YouTube videos? Well, yes, but no, seriously.
Heather, I've gotten to know you so well through being your roommate, through New York, and also the No Boys Allowed Clubhouse. I just love our friendship and everything we've done together. And I still remember watching with your mom the Kinalaw newscast with the Heather coffee mug. And I know you're going to do great things.
You are my first friend in SportsMag, and you are definitely the best friend in SportsMag that I will ever have. And I can't believe that our 4 years together are finally ending. And you're one of the most incredible people I've ever met, and I know that you're going to do the most amazing things in life.
I'm Heather Morba alongside Phil Milani. Have a great week. Oh my gosh! Well, that was definitely a blast from the past. I just want to thank everyone up here on the desk and everyone who's still in the control room actually putting the show on the air for you guys. You've all been there for me in so many ways over my past few years here at CU, and I wouldn't have made it to where I am today without you guys. And thank you so much to Matt and Kylie and everyone who worked on that video. That was awesome. That's going in my own personal collection. I don't even know. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else we can say to wrap up this show.
That's all right. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, you guys. We're CU SportsMag. Have a great day.